Well, happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. What do we have today? We have building starts, I think, housing starts, and building permits coming out momentarily. And so we'll be looking for our housing starts and our building permits coming out momentarily. We will cover those in today's live stream. You will notice that yesterday we also covered retail sales, which were way over expectation. We didn't get to talk about builder confidence, but we did get home builder confidence yesterday. We'll mention that later in today's stream. Now, everyone is focused in the real estate world on this giant lawsuit in Kansas City, which is about two things. One are the rules, and the other is how much money the National Association of Realtors may or may not have to pay in a settlement. But if you pay attention to this whole situation, the National Association of Realtors has already caved in a sudden reversal, according to Inman. This is about 2 weeks ago, has already caved on the rules and now says listing brokers can offer 0%. So the whole thing of whether or not brokers can offer $0 or 0%, that's already basically been settled. The industry is caved on that point. So right now, it's just a matter of whether or not they'll have to pay a boatload of money. Right? This is all about the lawyers basically making the money. Yesterday, I told you how I got my check for my class settlement statement. Apparently, some lawyers sued my mortgage company. I didn't even know about it. I got a check for $3.31. What is really the news, and what I've been telling you for a while now, a couple of weeks at least, what the real news is, what the real potential bombshell change would be, is if the Department of Justice files a nationwide antitrust lawsuit that would ban sellers from paying any commissions. You see, it's a big, big difference between making commissions to the buyer side agent optional versus banning it. And right now, NAR has said, we'll make it optional. We'll make it optional. Why have they decided to make it optional? Because the secret is that it doesn't really matter that much in the marketplace, as proved by the Consumer Federation of America. And they did that study that I've also covered on this live stream, where they tested some listings in the Pacific Northwest MLS before and after, over 700 listings. And it made basically no difference. When Northwest MLS went to an optional commission system, it made no difference. Pretty much everyone still paid 2.5%, 3% or whatever to the buyer side. So it's like a compromise that makes no difference on a daily basis, even in a seller's market. So I've been telling you that the big threat has been the Department of Justice. And why did I know that? Because in the No Select MLS PIN case here in Massachusetts, at the last moment, the Department of Justice, just in the last couple of weeks, filed a statement of interest saying that, the rule to make it optional, even though the judge loved it, the rule actually doesn't make any difference in the real marketplace. And we have, according to the Department of Justice, significant concerns. And this was brought to light yesterday, because yesterday the Department of Justice, this is the biggest news in real estate today. It's not the case in Kansas City. Yesterday, the Department of Justice floated a trial balloon of exactly what I've been telling you about. Real estate brokerages pocketing up to 6% draws antitrust scrutiny. I don't know why Glenn Kelman's picture is there, but it is anyways. Federal enforcers are posed to decide whether to pursue their own case after years-long investigation, according to a person familiar with the issue. The Justice Department is focused on real estate commission sharing system that typically puts home sellers on the hook for a 5 to 6% cut of the sale, split between the agent and the buyer's agent. Now, and then there's a couple of background paragraphs here. The damages in the two civil cases, that would be the one that's currently on trial in Kansas City and the other one that's booked for trial somewhere in the relatively near future. So that would be the Sitzer and the Morrell cases, are based on allegedly inflated commissions in those market. Would be a blow to the Realtor Association. Yes, it would be. RE/MAX and Anywhere have already settled. But, and this is the money quote here in this article, the bigger threat to the industry as a whole would be a nationwide case brought by the Justice Department to dismantle the commission sharing structure altogether. In the worst case scenario for the industry, the federal government could seek to ban sharing commissions, prohibiting the seller's agent from compensating buyer's agents. This is what I've been telling you. The Department of Justice is eyeballing a ban on the sharing of commissions from the seller to the buyer agent. I've been telling you this, and you guys haven't believed me. But I'm telling it's right now, they're floating it on Bloomberg as of yesterday. It's a real thing where the seller would be prohibited from paying the buyer agent commission. That's a real thing. And that would be huge disruption. Oh, Jack, why isn't the NAR thing a huge thing? Because we've already had the ability to offer a dollar commission. What's the difference between $1 and zero? Like it's $1, right? Theoretically, it's $1. But other than that, it's really nothing. You've already been able to do that. When they say that NAR has caved on the zero permit, it's meaningless. It's meaningless. What would be meaningless is if the Department of Justice came in and said, oh, you can't share commissions at all. That would be more than just an earthquake. That would be like a meteor striking the earth. I mean, that would be huge, for lack of a better phrase. Redfin, here's why he was in the yard. Our guess is the lawsuits in Missouri and Illinois will not go that far. That's also my guess, but it's possible. We think the Department of Justice action is necessary to reach that level. So, Glenn, thank you for coming on board with me on that one. And that would be a seismic change. Basically, half of the real estate agents in this country would be unemployed. It also means that those of us who actually have talent in a number of different fields, hey, that means we have a huge upside, right? So good morning, Sharon. It means that those of us who have talent have huge upsides because I'll be able to go to someone's house and even on the system that NAR has already accepted, I'll be able to go to someone's house and I'll say, hey, I'll sell your house for 1.5%. It's a seller's market. We'll do 3 open houses. I'll take care of all the photography. People know that I'm a photographer. I literally have my own dark room. People know that I can make video. I'll do all of that. And I'll do 3 open houses. It's a seller's market. We'll sell this thing. I'll charge you only 1.5%. On $1 million house, I'll make Bueller. That's $15,000. I'll make $5,000 an open house. I'm up for that, right? Oh, but Jack, what about the buyer's agent? Sorry, because I'll be offering 0% to the buyer agent. Then the buyers will just come to me. They can find the house. They are already finding the house on Zillow without the buyer's agent. And the seller will save 3.5%, which is $35,000. That is a business model which is already available to people in the current situation. I think it will take a while for both sellers and buyers and other agents to get used to it, but that's already available as a business model, right? Maybe the lower the price of the house, the higher the commission. That might also be a factor because I don't know if you've ever realized this, but to sell a $350,000 house is pretty much the same effort as it is to sell $1 million house. And if you're working on the same percentage, there might have to be a sliding scale there. I have to put some thought into that. But the real threat, and I don't even know if I want to call it a threat, but I'm going to call it an opportunity. The real opportunity is that there's sharing of commission gets banned. because I am a very small operator, right? I'm a licensee here in Massachusetts. I have an agency with like 25 agents. I'm competing against this industry, which is all walled up and protected. Century 21, Caldwell Banker, the massive companies. The more upending of the apple cart, the better off I am, right? As far as I'm concerned, the more disruption, the more opportunity. Yeah, just a completely self-interested situation. Now, in the law of unintended consequences, was this going to be good for buyers? You could make a really good argument that this actually is not good for buyers because buyers will then go unrepresented. Well, in the free marketplace, if the buyer does not want to go unrepresented, they can hire a buyer's agent and pay that buyer's agent openly, and they know how much they're paying that buyer's agent. Right? We're not taking that away. No one's taking that away. Right now, the theory is that the buyer agent works for free, which is, you know what that is, right? So yesterday, because there's no cameras in the federal courtroom, we had the opportunity on CNBC to have two people be interviewed. One was one of the lawyers from the major court case in Kansas City, the Sitzer Burnet case. And the other one was Josh Flagg. And he is a agent for $1 Million Listing. Now, he's making this argument, which it's just absolutely horrific. The good news for Josh in this interview is that he lost his feed. So, because he made an incredibly stupid argument. And fortunately, the host of the show, who I forget his name, he's going to summarize the argument here for you. Listen to this Josh's argument. Basically, Josh's argument is that when you sell the house, you get screwed over, but when you buy a house, we make it up to you. That was Josh's argument. Here's the summary.
Feed. Michael, you're there. I think you heard Josh's arguments, and if our audience missed it, I'll repeat it, which is basically, and he makes a good point. If I buy a house, I don't pay anything.
It's not a good point.
I get it. The seller pays both commissions, but then at some point I will sell that house, and then I will pay. So why not? It's sort of just a delayed.
This is the argument. Like when you go, there's a bridge we have in Boston. When you come into town, you pay the double toll. When you leave town, you don't pay a toll. So are you getting a deal when you leave town? No, because in the morning you paid the double toll. That's effectively the argument from this guy, Josh Flagg from $1 Million Listing. What an idiot.
Payment system.
Yeah, I heard that argument made in court today, and with the National Association.
This guy here is the chief realtor for, attorney for Sitzer Burnet.
Association of Realtors and these corporate real estate companies are saying, look, all right, we may be ripping off sellers when they're selling the house, but they're benefiting when they're ripping off other sellers if they're buyers.
Why are they ripping them off? Go into a little bit more the ripping off.
That's a great point, Michael Ketchmark. Hey, we're going to rip you off at the beginning, but we'll make it up to you.
Comment.
Sure. As a seller of a home, you should not be forced to pay a buyer's agent. And the fact that some of those people turn around and buy a house and make another seller pay for that, that doesn't make it right. Two rights don't make it wrong. But you know who's paid every single time? The National Association of Realtors members. They're making commission on both sides of it. And the reason they're doing it is half the time these corporate real estate companies represent buyers and half the time they represent sellers. But also the thing that's not true about that, a lot of our clients are people who didn't turn out to sell a home and become a buyer. What about the couples who retire and don't buy another house? What about the people who pass away and they want to sell their home and leave it to the next generation? You shouldn't be picking their pockets.
Yeah,
and they haven't given
still wait. We're supposed to have Josh kind of be on the other side. We're still kind of waiting to patch him in again. So it's just going to be kind of, I'll play the role.
Again, it's better for Josh that he wasn't able to patch himself back in again because he completely embarrassed. I don't know this guy, Josh Flagg, but what a horrifically bad argument on behalf of the industry. I mean, just really, really bad argument. We screw you once, we'll make it up to you later. Was basically Mr. Flagg's argument. So yesterday, thank you so much, Inman. When I pay a subscription to Inman, I expect coverage on these type of trials, and good for them that they've actually sent their reporter there. I did consider going myself, at least for like 2 days, and it was like $500 to fly out and probably $500 to $600. It was probably like a $1,500 thing for like 2 days, and I was like, no, thank you. If it was in Boston or Manhattan, any excuse to go to Manhattan, I love Manhattan, I would have went, or even Washington, D.C., but yeah, too expensive. All right, so and plus the opportunity cost of what I would have missed while I was there. Wednesday is day 3 of the trial. Consumers, it seems, are rooting against the status quo. Shocker. Well, I'm just shocked by that. That's shocking. Think about if you have to go up against an argument like that Mr. Flagg made on CNBC, or you have to go against, or you have to side with the attorney that you just heard, and you're not a real estate professional. You're just a regular Joe. You're just a regular person working your job. Somehow you got stuck on this federal jury thing. Who are you going to side with? I mean, really, like when you really boil it all down, 9 regular people who, they're construction workers or school teachers or stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, whatever they are, 9 regular people, who are they going to side with? They're going to side with the consumers that are bringing the case. I mean, it's really not that hard. It's really not hard to figure out. I'm just looking for my next quote here. In the opening statement yesterday, there was an argument that the training that Keller Williams and other, especially Keller Williams, I believe, was quintessentially price fixing. It's not just negotiating, it was price fixing. And I just don't believe that jurors are going to side with the big industry, right? The attitude in America right now, as far as I'm concerned, and this is in the pleasant Midwest, is confrontational, right? We are not like in a time right now where everyone's kumbaya and we're all getting along as a country right now. Are we? No. And I just don't believe that they're going to side with big real estate versus consumers. You tell me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Hey, yesterday we brought you the live here on the show, and we will look at the other economic data that's coming out. But yesterday we brought you live on the show retail sales, which popped way above expectation. And wow, that just drove mortgage rates through the roof. Now at 7.92, according to Mortgage News Daily, their average rate survey, 7.92. So we are knocking on the door of 8%. I've been telling you this since before the mini banking crisis. When was that? In March? That we were going to hit 8%. It seems inevitable at this point that we are going to hit 8% on the average 30-year fixed shortly. It's coming around the corner. We are now at 7.92. It wouldn't surprise me if we had a pullback today of any sort. That's not going to be surprising. But the trend is, I don't want to say straight up. The trend is clear. The trend is clear. We're going to 8%, which means effectively that the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes have not yet had their desired effect, or might not even yet at all have their desired effects. It also means that the federal government, which keeps wildly overspending, is and therefore driving a deficit, is a huge contributor to interest rates. It's a tax on you and me. It's a tax on you and me. So let's look at what happened to the 10-year. And before we actually look at what happened on the 10-year on the intraday, just look at where we are. We are now at the highest number since April of 2007. I would imagine that once we surpass 485, and where are we right now? We're at, oh boy, wow, we are up even this morning. We are at 486.8. I think once we settle above 485, our next major point of resistance is 5.4. Yeah. So add 300 points to that, and you get your average mortgage rate. Looking at the historic chart, the next point of significant resistance, if you look here, would be I misspoke. 5.14. 5.14 is your next point of significant resistance. Once we settle above 485. Once we go above 485, our next stop is 5.14. Add 300 points to get your mortgage. So we'll be above. Yeah, it's on the way. I mean, if you don't see that as a reality, then I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah, because that is a reality. That is what's going to happen. And with that, of course, is the fact that mortgage demand falls to the lowest level since 1995. This sounds like a headline that you can just trot out almost every single day, right? Mortgage demand falls to a new low almost every single day on this one, right? Almost every single day. It's the same story every day. All right, so let's take a look at our building permits, and let's see if we can hit the news on that. News on building permits. Do we have any news on that? Nope, not yet. That's interesting. How about housing starts? Oh, here we go. Higher. Housing starts. This just came out in the last 15, 20 minutes. Housing starts rebound in September after a sharp drop prior month. Enter Market Watch. I'm not a Market Watch person. Here we go. Morningstar. Here we go. Construction of new U.S. homes rose 7% in September to an annual pace of 1.36 million units after a sharp drop the prior month, the Commerce Department said Wednesday. Oh, that's interesting. Housing starts are up. And building permits to me is less important because you could pull a permit but never build the house. Right? You could build a permit and never build the house. Now, with housing starts up, that's interesting because yesterday we also got information that the home builder sentiment dropped to a 10-month low as mortgage rates soar. So these numbers are kind of, in a way, contradictory. Sentiment drops, but starts go up. I don't know if I can explain that. So maybe someone in the comments can explain that. That would be great, but I don't think I can. I got answers for a lot of things, but not for that right off the top of my head. So, once again, you want to watch the Department of Justice. That is the next big thing. Now, somebody asked me yesterday in the live stream, when would that actually occur? That would be a long time. What's happening in Kansas City, the only thing that's happening in Kansas City is whether or not NAR will actually survive as a meaningful organization and whether they'll be able to preserve themselves as a monopoly against agents because of the fact that they tie the purchase of one thing, which is the NAR membership, to the membership of the multiple listing service, which is absolutely positively an antitrust violation. NAR is not only allegedly a conspiracy against home sellers, but it's also a conspiracy against the agents that they purport to serve because they make you join NAR in order to get an MLS membership in most parts of the country. Fortunately, I am blessed here in Massachusetts that I don't have to do that because my local MLS is broker owned. But in the most part of the country, you have to buy one thing to get another, and that's an antitrust violation. Yeah. So also, if NAR loses this case, how can all of the NAR members across the country run around and say, we're more ethical than the regular agent? Oh, yeah? You were just found guilty in a massive antitrust conspiracy case. So that whole branding is going to go out the window. All right, I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth. You have a great day. Check us out at onlinerealestateacademy.com or Jack Gately Real Estate. There's my sign. Somebody actually texted me from this number yesterday. That was pretty cool. But I would prefer you to email me, Jack at onlinerealestateacademy.com. You have a great day. Bye-bye.